Am I the a-hole for breaking up with my boyfriend for throwing away dog tags and a rosary? I, 43 female, lost my husband, 47 male, in 2020 due to COVID. He was a doctor fighting on the front lines of the COVID pandemic. He caught it from a patient he was caring for and didn't make a recovery. To say I am still devastated would be an understatement. He was my world, the absolute light of my life, my best friend and soulmate. We had so many plans that we will now never be able to do. We had been married for over 20 years, and I miss him so dearly. Some days I have wished to go to sleep and never wake up again, just to be with him. When I eventually had to go through his things, I placed most of it in storage unit and kept a few keepsakes, and above all else, I kept his dog tags. He was a veteran, and his rosary, which I keep around my neck at all times. During this time, I hit a major depression and quite frankly had no positive outlook on life. I was dropping hobbies, calling out sick for work to the point where I was fired and rarely left my home. I had all things delivered, and if I couldn't get it delivered, I decided I didn't need it. I then met my now ex-boyfriend, 49 male, 2 years ago. He had delivered my groceries to me several times, and during those times I got to know him on a personal level. Eventually, he asked me out on a date with him. We started dating in late 2023. He got me out my rut. I started grief counseling, going to the gym, taking pride in myself, got a job in my career field, and started all the way over. We eventually moved in together early 2024, but a major point of contention is the rosary and my ex-husband's dog tags. He would get huffy when he sees me put them on while getting ready for work. Or anytime he would see me, he would always make a point to point out that I'm wearing the dog tag and the rosary. After a while, I got fed up and asked him what was his deal with my dog tags and rosary. He said it made him feel uncomfortable when I wore the dog tags, and that he felt that I never truly let go of my husband. I argued, saying that this is my only piece of him I have left. After a lot of back and forth, I decided to keep the dog tags and the rosary in a small box I have in my nightstand, and agreed to only wear them when I go to replace the flowers on my husband's grave, and in very special cases with my late husband's side of the family, as they don't mind. Well, recently my late husband's sister, my sister-in-law, was getting married and inviting me and only me to her wedding. I spoke to my ex and asked if he was all right with me going to the wedding without him. He agreed and said he was okay with it. I packed and drove 3 hours to the wedding venue. In my haze, I forgot to grab my husband's dog tags and his rosary, which was fine. I had other jewelry. I came home the following night and was extremely tired, so I went straight to sleep. The next morning, I was preparing to go to my husband's grave and decided to wear his dog tags and rosary. And when I went to look for it in the small box in my nightstand, it was gone. I tore the entire house apart looking for it and asked my ex where it was. He blamely told me that he had thrown them both out while I was away at my sister-in-law's wedding. He went on about how my grief was preventing me from moving on with my life and that my insistence on keeping another man's belongings was disrespectful to him. I went nuclear. I will spare you the details, but things were said, police were called, and he spent a night in jail. He then had the audacity to use his one phone to call me ridiculous, and that I completely overreacted. I broke up with him over the phone and hung up. I have been inconsolable for days now. My sister came over to try and comfort me, and when I explained everything, she stated that I was in a hole for breaking up with him over something so small.